What's so special about Hero Bread's soft, fluffy, and delicious breads, buns, and tortillas? Hero Bread serves up 0 to 1 grams of net carbs, 5 to 11 grams of protein, and high fiber in every delicious serving. Made with natural ingredients, Hero Bread supports gut health, promotes weight management, and helps maintain blood sugar. Hero also drops other limited edition ultra-low net carb goodies like rich, flaky croissants and buttery brioche slider rolls. Head to hero.co to shop today.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cozy Moon Podcast.
Where
we have fun.
Talking about
Parenting.
I'm Anya.
Say Ari.
Ari.
This is Ari, and I'm Mommy Shan. Let's start the show.
Yeah.
Good morning, people. All right, so someone posted something that says, everyone always talks about a mother's sacrifice, but not a father's. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about fathers that I've known, that I know sacrificed. Because I do see you as a mother. Before I became a mother, I seen you, boo-boo. And I'm going to talk about you. Leslie Downer, my mother's father, who I want to say he was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. He stopped going to school when he was in the, I want to say 5th or 6th grade. And he started working. And he would work because, his family didn't have a lot of money. And he would learn carpentry and how to work with his hands and building things and building homes. And he did that and he made money. And between him and my grandmother had 13 kids. I want to say he had one child out of the marriage. And he would be gone sometimes months at a time, and my grandmother would take care of home. And that is a sacrifice. Not being able to be at your own home with your own children, your own family, and being out working on people's houses in Jamaica in that heat. It is hot in Jamaica, so you just out there building stuff and you got wood going on in that heat. I commend you. So my grandfather always worked. He made beautiful furniture. My aunt has a table that he made from scratch for her. It's beautiful, beautiful work. He always smelled like sawdust. My grandfather always smelled like sawdust. Even in my my aunt's house in Philly, he made his own shop downstairs in the basement, and it was sawdust everywhere. Whenever you needed your pencil sharpened, he was not using a pencil sharpener. This man was using sandpaper to go ahead and sharpen your pencil, and they were sharper than a knife, okay? So my grandfather definitely sacrificed for decades for his children, and I appreciate it. My mom appreciated it. He was very handy. He was very hands-on. My mom is very handy. If my mom cannot do something, she's gonna figure out a tool to use to do it, or she's gonna create something to do it. I feel like my mom got that type of artistry from him. My grandmother, she was more so of a hospitable woman. So anything in the home as far as taking care of cooking, cleaning, that was Josephine, my grandmother. But my grandfather on my mom's side, he did great things, and he had a lot of children, so I'm sure he sacrificed. He definitely sacrificed getting an education for the sake of taking care of himself, his family, and then his own kids and his own wife. And when my grandmother passed away when I was 8, my grandfather made sure he paid for the funeral in Philly, a huge funeral in Philly, limousines, got all of our plane tickets, flew Air Jamaica 2 days after that funeral, had a whole other funeral in Jamaica. So when I tell you that man sacrificed. And his peace, it was all about him having his peace. And yes, he has passed away, but that's another man in my life that I was fortunate enough to know and fortunate enough to understand and respect his sacrifice. There are fathers out here that sacrifice, and I see them. Stop! There's more!
Stop. There's more.
More. All right, so let's talk about my dad first. All right, so my my dad was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, by his mother and his father, and I think he was a twin, or he had siblings. My dad was very to himself, not really giving you the jits of his family rundown. I swear to God, if I passed his family today, I would not know them. He wasn't really a people person. I do remember having family at the house when I was younger for dinners and stuff, but it wasn't no regular, come over and we'll just chat. It was none of that. I know my mom's family the best. And I do have a brother and sister from my dad from a previous marriage. They are a lot older than me. I want to say they're in their 50s. But my dad was just very about his wants, his needs, because he had me with my mom, and they were married and they lived in the same house. I think he just did the bare minimum. And when I say the bare minimum, I mean just making sure the lights was on, making sure there was heat, making sure the water was running, making sure you had a house and a room. That's it. Even now, my mom's telling me when they would go grocery shopping, my mom cooked 3 meals a day every day of my life. Okay, up until I was 28. Okay, my mom just loves to cook. She's just Jamaican woman in her. So she would cook all the time, and every time they would go grocery shopping, she said he would walk around the store with her, pick up what he wanted, she would pick up what she needed to cook, and then when it comes time to check out, he would disappear. That was my dad, and she would have to pay for it. And my mom did odd jobs. She did upholstery jobs. She sewed wedding dresses. She made hats for the church ladies. She babysat. My mom made a way to make money, and island grind. You know what I'm saying? Island grind, different. And my dad was never, let me share this with you. Well, let me tell you about this. He was just very observant. He talked his talk whenever he felt like talking, and he said whatever he wanted to say, regardless of what your feelings are. He was very it's what I want all the time, and very about me. And he didn't care about anybody else's thoughts or feelings about what he did. And he was about his businesses. He owned a lot of property, rented out property in Philly. He owned his own barbershop off of 52nd or something, in Philly. He cut hair. He gambled a lot. That man loved to gamble. Anytime he would go out of town on vacation, he would go by himself. He never did no family vacation. So I don't know what he sacrificed as far as, I wanted to do this, but since I have a family now, I can't do it. I don't know, because he wasn't very outspoken about that. And I kind of wish we had those discussions, because I would love to know from a man's perspective, from a father's perspective, what he feel like he sacrificed, because now, he had a wife and a kid, but because I was so young, he probably felt like that was none of my business. And my dad passed away when I was 18. By that time, our relationship was very strained, and I didn't keep in touch as much, and I was very distant, because he was one of those men, after my mom and him got a divorce, that felt like it was the child's job to call. It was a child's job to care. You know where I'm at type of attitude. I'm just like, that's not how this works. And any man out there, that's not how it works, especially if you have a daughter. If you do not show that you want her around, or you don't show that you want her in your life, or you don't show interest in her life or her, you're going to lose her. Point blank, period. And that's what happened. So in my mind, my dad became deceased when I was 15. That's when I was just like, okay, I'm done with that. That's like a never happening thing. And he actually died physically when I was 18. And I never went to his funeral. I do not know where he's buried. I don't ask my sister. I'm just like, okay, that's done. All right. So the fathers that I do know that sacrificed, I want to say one of my favorite brothers, Rich. He's in his 40s now. He owns his own mechanic shop. Ever since I've known him to work, he's always worked on cars. And when I was younger, he was working for Philadelphia Airport. And he didn't have any kids up until I was like in my, I think my first nephew, I was 12 or 13 when my oldest brother had him, or his girlfriend had him. And then Javon came when I was like, I'm going to say 14? No. 11? I don't know. Around there. So before that, this man will spend money on shoes, cars, wherever he wanted to go. My brother has always been giving. He's always been a father-like figure, period. Even before he had kids, like, there's nothing that he wouldn't give. Okay, my brother Rich is the type of person that will give you his shirt off his back and just walk bare chested. Okay, he has always been that way, always been giving. So when I was younger, I always looked up to him as a father figure, which is why he's my favorite brother, because his heart is always open, which sucks now in his adult life, because people that abuse the fact that his heart is always open, I can't stand, because just like, you don't need what you're asking him for, and you're only asking him for it because you know he's gonna give it to you. But he has sacrificed so much, trying to be a husband the first time and that failing, taking care of his kid, having his kid live with my mom for a while because he was going through a divorce and he was depressed and going through that and dealing with women and not really being open to the thought of it being something great. And he's always worked. I've never known this man never to work. Okay, he's always worked, and he works hard, and he works early, and he comes home late, and his hands are always mannish, and he's always ashy. And just recently in this new relationship, he's been taking time out to go on vacations and taking time out to rest sometimes. And, you know, I can tell that he's taking better care of himself, which is a good thing, and I want him to do that. Just gotta stretch that life out. But he does sacrifice a lot of time that he could be doing other relaxing things that other men do for the sake of taking care of his home, taking care of his family, taking care of his kids, taking care of his wife, taking care of his business, taking care of other people, loaning money, taking care of me most of the times, working on my cars for the free ski. And I pay him whenever I have the room to pay him. I mean, I'm not just over here like, oh, I'm your sister, you gotta do this free. No, that's not my attitude. But at the same time, I'm just like, sir, if I give you this money, I'm gonna be back Friday asking you for some money. So what you want me to do? So most of the time, he usually does work on my stuff for free, which is why I don't push him to get things done, because ma'am, I'm doing this for the free ski. You go to any mechanic place, they're going to charge you a good solid $800. So I'm very mindful that he is not on my time. He has other things to do. He has working customers and he has a life. But I've always loved and admired the way that he takes care of his family. And he always would joke about the fact that I'll never find a man as good as him, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But the ironic thing is, this man is deathly ready for me to be married off somewhere so I can get out his hair, the little bit of hair that he got, because he feels like I be stressing him out with the things I need, and he be like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get a man? That's always his thing that he asks me. Another man that I know sacrifices a lot would be my youngest brother, Nate. He sacrifices for his 5 children, being that he's married and his wife has a son, but he has all daughters. And this man sacrifices, making sure he has a home for his kids and his family, making sure that he spends time, making sure that he always listens to his wife, and making sure that everybody is okay, and doing what he can, and going to work, and probably doing work he doesn't want to do. Okay, he doesn't own his own business, so probably doing work that he doesn't want to do. He does that a lot. Also, knowing his talent. My youngest brother is very talented. So just picture a whole highway scene, right? All the vehicles, all the cars, the highway, the structure and everything. My brother can draw that in full detail just off memory. But he does nothing as far as like work-wise in the arts. When it comes to vehicles, he can draw a vehicle in full detail, like he went to school for it, just off memory. But he does not do a job in illustration or drafting or none of that. I think I'm the only one who has pursued a job or a career in arts. I have a degree in fine arts, and I think I'm the only one that has pursued work in the arts. But all of my brothers can draw, and I think we get that from my mom. My mom is a good illustrator of plants and flowers in full detail. My youngest brother, he draws vehicles well. My mom's next son, he draws action figures in detail well. Richie draws birds and sceneries very well. And the oldest one, I think he draws sceneries very well. We all have it. And it's an amazing thing to have. But my 2 brothers, I've seen them sacrifice. Ari's dad, he might be horrible in relationships, but when I tell you that man, I've known him not to work because he wasn't getting hired for work, but I have filled out applications for him, and he gotten a job, and he's like took it on his own way. So he worked a lot for his family. He's always looking for like the next thing he can do to provide for his family, which I always admired. He's always looking to be better, whether that's through reading or getting more knowledge of X, Y, and Z. He's always willing to figure it out. Never comfortable in what he has going on, always trying to, exercise thought. And I've always seen him just grind it out or stack his money or focus in on something and get it done. So I will say that he's horrible in relationships, but as far as like work ethic and getting things done, he's good at it. And he's good at figuring out like computer things or technical things. And he's a music engineer, and he's really good at understanding that and understanding timing and all of that. So who else is a good sacrifice person. My Uncle Ronnie, rest in peace. My Uncle Ron died 2 years ago, last year, January. Passed away from brain cancer. Whew, that was hard for me. A son in any room, okay? Smile, generous, kind, funny, charismatic, polite, knowledgeable about everything. He used to own his own bar in Philadelphia. He was a fireman in Philadelphia for many years. Legally, he's not my uncle, but because he was one of my aunt's boyfriends for many years, the family kind of adopted him. So he has never left our family. Always take care of people. If you have a question and he doesn't know the answer, he's gonna hang up the phone with you and call you back in 10 minutes with the answer of what you need or how you can get it, or a resource. He's definitely a resource. If you need something, he's gonna figure out how you can get it or how he could get it to you. If you need a great ticket or price on the ticket, he's gonna figure it out. If you have to contact corporate about any mistreatment and bad customer service, that is the man for the letter, the email, the call. Okay, he knows what to ask for. He knows protocol. He knows how to handle business. He can talk to anybody in a room. He's very street smart, book smart, very witty. I just loved him. I loved him. When it comes to his kids, he always take care of his kids, always take care of the grandchildren, always takes care of his women, even his exes in his life. Even after his divorce from his ex-wife, he would constantly send her money. Like, I've seen all the receipts of money he sent, and how he passed away and the whole fight over his things and his pension. It was so messy, but I've seen that man sacrifice, okay? I've seen that man not have anything to eat because he wants to help somebody else. I've seen that man come out his pocket with $0 and swipe credit cards upon credit cards for other people, for things, for wants. I want to say he sacrificed his sanity and took upon other people's miserableness so they want to have it, so he could be the one to be miserable. And the small things that he would find peace in, I will allow him to have the room to have that peace. If he wanted me to go with him to the doggy park or the lake, I'll go with him. If he just wanted to go for a ride to go for breakfast, I will go with him. If he, just wanted to go check something out, I will go with him. Why? Because when you have somebody in your life that does so many great things for you, after a while, I think a lot of people take that for granted. So the people that he really probably wanted to spend the time with were never available or never made the time. So it's kind of like I took on like, oh, I'm gonna make the time, or I'm gonna do this. Whenever I felt like I need to call him and tell him I love him, I called him and told him I love him. I could definitely tell you that man did not leave this earth in spirit and in good health or bad health, not knowing if I cared about him or not. Like, he knew, like, I would call him out the blue, tell him I love him, and that would be the conversation. We'll hang up. Because people like that need to know that when they're appreciated. People like that need to know when they're cared about. People like that need to know when they're loved. People like that need to know when they're seen and their efforts are heard and all of that. They need to know. Not just because he did something nice, not just because he's my uncle, not just because there was no possibility before he offered his help, just because he's a good person. Like, he was a great person. And I know there's a lot of fathers out here sacrificing the fact that they want to go to school and they want to have a higher education, but they have a mortgage and their kids need to have money so they can go to school. And they want to make sure their family is okay. And they want to make sure this is lined up. And they want to make sure that they're able to do X, Y, and Z. Listen, there's online school that you can do. You don't have to, spend your money going out to the clubs with your boys. Get you some friends that understand that you want a different type of growth. And I have always been about anybody I'm with. My question is always, what do you want? Like, what is going to make you the most happy? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what is your goal? And once you tell me your goal, I'm intrigued and I'm interested on helping you get that. Like, that has always been my motive with whoever I'm with. And some people are just not motivated to be better. Some people do not know what they want. And some people lack focus, and you can't give that to somebody. You can try to be the best example of that in your life, but you can't give that to somebody. So if someone doesn't have it, that's something they don't have. But I don't feel like, just like everyone is not a mother, I don't feel like everyone is a father. I feel like a lot of fathers out here, they need mentor fathers. They need fathers that are good examples of good fathering. Not just, I pay my child support. Child support is the bare minimum of financial aid you could give a child that you have. The bare minimum. So if you're bragging about financial aid compared to your income and the mother of your child's income, that's nothing to brag about, and I need men to stop it. Babysitting your children, there's no such thing when you're a parent. You're watching your kids. You have your kids. Whenever I'm off, I have my kids with me, period. If they're not at school and they're not at camp, they are with me, guaranteed. I promise you. When it comes to fathers, that's usually unheard of. They're usually always... those are Atlanta potholes. They're usually with the mom. But I do know men that have sacrificed and stayed home with their kids. A lot of men now are stay-at-home fathers. I don't think there's nothing wrong with stay-at-home fathers. Staying home with any child is crazy because there's so much to do. You cannot sit stagnant when you have children. You got to clean, you got to cook, you got to make sure they're down for naps, you got to entertain them, you got to help them learn, you have to be aware of your surroundings, you got to take them places, you got to make sure that they're clean, you got to change diapers, you got to change clothes, you got to give baths, you got to go make sure they didn't leave the water running in the bathroom, turn off the lights, make sure nobody's running into the side of a table. It's a lot of work to be at home with the child and completely have your sanity at the end of the day. So any father that's out here that does not think that is a sacrifice, you are sadly mistaken. That is a great sacrifice. And any man out here that's staying home with the children because that's less expensive than these kids going to these high-priced daycares out here making a killing off of parents, don't feel like you're not doing your part. Don't feel like you're not putting in any work. Don't feel like you're not doing anything great. You are doing something so great, so helpful. Do you know the peace of mind that it is for a mom to know that she can be anywhere in the world and know that her kids are being taken care of by their father? By somebody that cares about them, by somebody that loves them, by somebody that would make sure that they are, well taken care of, well watched, well fed, and they are okay. That is a peace of mind. So any man out here doing that, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fathers, I do see your sacrifice. I know there's a lot of jobs that y'all work at that y'all don't want to do. Nobody actually wakes up in life and said, you know what, for the career for the rest of my life, I want to be a postman. Or for the career for the rest of my life, I want to deliver FedEx packages or UPS packages. Or for the career for the rest of my life, I want to be a garbage man. Or I want to dig up dirt for other companies. Or I want to come home tired with my back burning, my hands ashy, and just dirty all the time and smelling like grease. No man says, I want this for my career. I mean, some of them do, but not all. No man wants to actually be in a suit every damn day with his, privates all cooped up in some well-looking trousers and stuff. No man actually wants to do that. No man actually wants to put on dress shoes every day of his life. Okay? That's not true. So I know there are men in offices out here sacrificing. I know that there are men in construction out here sacrificing. I know there are men that are in the United States that maybe have family in other countries. I know you are sacrificing. I know you are not there in your child's life because you are trying to make a better way for them in the future. And I know it may be hard for your kids to understand that now, but I know when they get older, they appreciate it. They will appreciate it. And I know it's hard for men to do the right thing sometimes, because sometimes faster, easier money looks like is more appealing than you going and clocking in on a job that's legal. But I could guarantee you the illegal part of you getting quick, fast money is going to be your time being stolen. And there's nothing more precious than your time. So thank you for your sacrifice. I do see fathers out here that sacrifice. My name is Shannon. Thank you.